Who's this? It's 30p Lee Anderson.
You can make a meal for about 30 pence a day.
When he's not assaulting people,
Got anything to say for yourself?
taking Steve Bray's hat, stoking division,
200 or 300 young men have arrived, and they're saying things to young girls and
blaming the poor.
got any pots and pans, so we gave them pots and pans to make the food on. Then we had the complaint that they hadn't got a fridge or a cooker. Then we showed them how to apply for white goods to energy support grants and stuff like that through utility companies. So there's no excuse. We can go on all day.
He's grandstanding at a committee meeting where he rudely questioned Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley.
Well, I think you're going to wriggle on after that one, Commissioner. I'll try another question. We've seen protesters once again in Parliament Square, setting up some sort of Glastonbury on Thames. Do you agree with the recommendations, I think it was by the policy exchange, that there should be zero tolerance to these sort of events, and we shouldn't be putting up with antisocial behaviour? And just this morning, we've seen protesters on Whitehall around Parliament Square, probably as you was coming into the building. Do you think it's time that you left the Ivory Tower and got out there on Whitehall and sorted these people out? Because, people of London, the tourists, the people that work at this place, and the taxi drivers, the bus drivers, they're getting fed up of it, and you're just letting it happen. You've got the powers now to do this.
Well, because you're making selective comments based on a partial understanding of the law. I do not want Londoners disrupted any more than anybody else does. But the law is very clear that protest is disruptive, and to a reason and to a certain extent that is allowed.
I'm just going to ask one more question. I'll make one more statement because I feel like I'm wasting my time with you, to be honest. You say you took 5 years out of the force. There's probably people listening to this today wish it was a lot longer, and I'm one of them. Do you think you've got the confidence of the public?
I'm not going to sit here. If people want to be personally offensive, then write it in newspapers, but I'm not going to answer those questions.
I'd like you to tell the committee, please, give examples of cases of racism, misogynism and sexism which you personally witnessed while serving as a police officer, and what did you do about it?
I have always been tough on standards in the organisation.
I didn't ask that. I said give me examples of sexism, racism and misogynistic behaviour that you've actually witnessed whilst being a police officer.
I can't remember any immediately.
You can't remember any?
No, I can't.
Well, I find that very difficult to believe. I think everybody watching this would find that difficult to believe, that you're in charge in cleaning up the Met Force. Really, it's your responsibility, but you can't actually remember any. You seriously expect the committee to believe that?
So as a senior officer, I have sat on many misconduct panels. I pretty much dismissed everybody who's come in front of me on those panels. I've always been very tough on that.
Yes, to what you'd actually witnessed yourself. I find it pretty hard to believe that a police officer with years and years of service with an organisation has not witnessed any of this when we know it goes off. Because if you have, you must have been walking around with your eyes closed. It would appear that you're in denial. Not
in denial at all. I've been more forthright about the need to reform and the need to confront standards in policing than any commissioner for decades.
Click here for some more 30p Lee.